I saw a widow that was I mean, horrific. How traumatic it's been for her. I mean, how triggering that must have been for her. I mean, yeah, I just tried. I expressed how sorry I am. She was frantic, understandably, after her husband was assassinated, and it blows. People attack a widow. I mean, what's wrong with people? That's bonkers. So for me, it was just a very personal human interaction in the middle of the chaos of that assassination. So my heart breaks for her as a parent and as someone. It's just heartbreaking to see the way what happens to her. I think it's important to stand and demand Iran to surrender its nuclear material. I mean, my views haven't changed, and as they continue to strangle the Iranian economy, I think China should feel that pain. I think that's entirely appropriate. Why can't China demand that? Iran absolutely has its ability to demand. Iran has to just stop. Why not? Why not? Unless they want to create Iran as a nuclear power, and that would be incredibly dangerous for the whole world peace. I'm very open to this. The idea that we are the arsenal of the free world. It's really important to make sure that we have whatever necessary to defend democracy in the global stage.
Here is something nobody predicted. A Democrat, a sitting United States Senator, going on record to defend Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow. The CEO of Turning Point USA. One of the most polarizing figures in conservative America right now. Not a Republican. Not a MAGA supporter. Not one of Charlie Kirk's longtime allies. A Democrat. Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. The guy with the hoodie. The guy who had a stroke and came back to work. The guy who crosses the aisle more than almost anyone else in Washington right now. He looked into the camera and said, and I am quoting him directly here, "What's wrong with people? That's bonkers." He was talking about the people attacking Erika Kirk after the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. And today on the Marquee Report, we are breaking down exactly what Fetterman said, why he said it, what it means for Erika Kirk, and why this moment is a lot more significant than it might seem on the surface. Let's get into it. Before we get into Fetterman's comments, let's make sure we are all caught up on exactly what happened the night that triggered all of this. April 25, 2026. The White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Washington Hilton in Washington, D.C. Roughly 2,600 people in the room, including the president, the vice president, cabinet members, journalists, and celebrities. One of the most high-profile events on the Washington social calendar. And then, gunshots. A man named Cole Tomas Allen, armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and knives, opened fire near the security screening area. Chaos erupted. People dove under tables. Secret Service rushed the president and vice president out of the building. One agent was struck in their bulletproof vest. The suspect was arrested. And in that ballroom, among the 2,600 terrified people, was Erika Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated just 7 months earlier. A woman who had already lived through the unthinkable, now living through it all over again in real time. A video went viral that showed her leaving the hotel in tears and pleading, "I just want to go home." And that video, those 4 words, split the internet completely in half. Some people were heartbroken. Others were cruel. Shockingly, viciously cruel. And that is exactly what got John Fetterman's attention. Senator John Fetterman said his heart breaks for Erika Kirk after she had to live through the White House Correspondents' Dinner assassination attempt not even a year following her husband's murder. Now, before we go any further, I want you to appreciate how unusual this is. John Fetterman is a Democrat. Erika Kirk runs Turning Point USA, one of the most prominent conservative organizations in America. These two people are not political allies. They do not share the same values, the same policy positions, or the same vision for the country. In the normal world of Washington politics, Fetterman defending Erika Kirk publicly is not something that happens. And yet, here we are. The Pennsylvania Democrat described their exchange as a very personal human interaction amid the chaos of the shooting as he recalled to Fox News Digital a conversation he had with the widow of slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk. "How triggering that must have been for her," Fetterman said. "I expressed how sorry I am," he detailed of the moment. "She was frantic, understandably, after her husband was assassinated. He was there. In that room. When the shots rang out. And when the chaos settled enough for human beings to connect with each other across the political divide, he walked up to Erika Kirk and told her he was sorry. Not as a Democrat. Not as a senator. Just as a person. Acknowledging what another person was going through. And then, when he saw the online attacks that followed, he had something to say about those too." Fetterman expressed his frustration over online attacks targeting Kirk following the shooting. "It blows," he said. "People attack a widow. I mean, what's wrong with people? That's bonkers. People attack a widow. What's wrong with people? That's bonkers. Simple. Direct. No political calculation visible. Just a human being calling out other human beings for being cruel to a grieving woman in the middle of a traumatic moment. Here is why this moment is bigger than just one senator saying something kind. Because John Fetterman is not just any Democrat. Fetterman has often been lauded as the lone Democrat willing to go across party lines to vote with and side with Republicans on a handful of issues. This includes his support for Israel. He votes with his conscience. He has broken with his party multiple times on issues that matter to him. He is the kind of politician who seems to genuinely not care what the political cost of doing the right thing is, which, in Washington in 2026, makes him a genuinely rare figure. So when Fetterman defends Erika Kirk, it is not because it helps him politically. It is not because it plays well with his base. If anything, it probably costs him something in certain circles. He is doing it because he was standing in that room, he saw what she went through, and he found the online response to be, in his own word, bonkers. And the fact that it took a Democrat to say what a lot of people were thinking, that attacking a widow for crying at a shooting is wrong regardless of her politics, says something uncomfortable about the state of our public discourse right now. What makes Fetterman's defense even more interesting is when you look at the broader pattern of who has and who has not stood up for Erika Kirk since Charlie's death. Within conservative circles, the people you might expect to be her loudest defenders, the response has been deeply divided. Candace Owens has been openly attacking her. Parts of the MAGA internet have spread conspiracy theories about her. Even some longtime Charlie Kirk supporters have turned on her publicly. And yet, a Democrat senator just went on Fox News Digital to call her critics bonkers and say his heart breaks for her. That inversion, conservative critics, Democratic defender, is one of the most striking features of the Erika Kirk story. It defies the neat political categories that most people try to fit public figures into. And it forces a question worth sitting with: is the criticism of Erika Kirk actually about politics? Or is it about something else entirely? Something more personal, more complicated, more human? Because the attacks on her have come from every direction. Left, right, center. People who hate everything Charlie Kirk stood for. People who loved everything Charlie Kirk stood for. The one thing they seem to have in common is not their politics, it is their skepticism about Erika specifically. And the one person who showed up at the most chaotic, most frightening night of her recent life and simply said, "I am sorry," turned out to be John Fetterman. Now, the Fox News interview covered more than just Erika Kirk. And I think it is worth giving you the full picture of what Fetterman said, because it fills in why he is such an unusual political figure right now. Beyond the emotional aftermath of the shooting, Fetterman also weighed in on escalating tensions with Iran, signaling his support for prioritizing U.S. foreign policy and defense to restrain nuclear threats. "I think it's important to stand and demand Iran to surrender its nuclear material," he said. "I mean, my views haven't changed. He was the only Democrat on Wednesday to vote against a Senate War Powers resolution aiming to limit American involvement in the conflict with Iran, for the 7th time. 7 times. The only Democrat voting against his own party's position on Iran, 7 separate times. That is not someone playing political games. That is someone with a consistent, deeply held position that he refuses to abandon regardless of party pressure. He also suggested China should take a more assertive role in pressuring Iran. I think China should feel that pain, Fetterman said. I think that's entirely appropriate. Why can't China demand that? Unless they want to create Iran as a nuclear power, and that would be incredibly dangerous for the whole world peace. And then, the defense budget. Fetterman also indicated his support for Trump's $1.5 trillion defense budget for fiscal year 2027, the largest request ever made by an administration. I'm very open to this, he said. The idea that we are the arsenal of the free world. It's really important to make sure that we have whatever's necessary to defend democracy on the global stage. A Democrat supporting a Trump defense budget. A Democrat defending Charlie Kirk's widow. A Democrat breaking with his party on Iran, for the 7th time. John Fetterman is operating entirely outside the normal rules of Washington right now. And love him or hate him, that makes him one of the most interesting political figures in America today. What's wrong with people? That's bonkers. 5 words from a Democratic senator that cut through months of political noise and landed on something simple and true. Attacking a widow for crying at a shooting, after her husband was assassinated, is wrong. It does not matter what her politics are. It does not matter what organization she runs. It does not matter what side of any debate you are on. John Fetterman saw a human being in pain and responded like a human being. And in Washington in 2026, that is apparently newsworthy. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Does Fetterman defending Erika Kirk change how you see either of them? I want to hear what you think on this one. Hit subscribe if you are new to the Marquee Report. And I will see you in the next one.